Hi, everybody. Happy Monday to you. It's region weather meteorologist Matt Wintz. I know different day. I didn't want to compete with Super Bowl yesterday. Heaven forbid we screw up our ratings, right? But no, it was towards the end of the game, and I know it was close. And I was actually here at work yesterday, so I was more than ready to do it. But I just didn't want to interrupt your Sunday evening plans. So what we're going to do here tonight is we'll talk about everything we normally do on Sunday nights, and that is going to be really the extended forecast, what we've got kind of planned out this week weather-wise. And then we're going to go beyond that as we usually do. I've got some other things to talk about as well, but we'll get into that as we dive in after our initial opening here. We'll take your questions at the end as always as well, and hopefully we'll prepare you for the rest of the work week ahead here on this Monday evening edition of Region Weather Live. And happy Monday to you guys. I hope you're doing okay and that everyone's recovered after watching Super Bowl yesterday. I want to say hi to Rhonda. Deb's with us tonight. Sarah, good evening to you. Mary, Jeff, good evening to you. Mark, thanks for joining us. Amanda's with us as well. I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your schedule to chat weather for the rest of the week and beyond. We're going to get into the latter half of February, and it looks really active. If you think we're done with winter, I've got some proof that maybe we're not yet. We'll see, what comes to fruition with this, but the model's really pointing at potentially some cold snaps later this month, but moreover some snow, which we really haven't seen. It's just been so quiet. So we'll be getting into it. Hi, Phoebe. Hi, Dave. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. Stacy, you as well. Susan, Justin's with us. Allison, hello to you. Guys, thank you so much. A couple things we'll dive into. There are roses over my shoulder. There are roses all over in the newsroom. It's been kind of the top of conversation. They came from the Cleveland Clinic. Some of us got them, some of us didn't. And so we're wondering, what was the rhyme and reason between who got roses and not. I'll just let you know I am one that did not get roses, but I'm surrounded by them. So not feeling a whole lot of love, but that's okay. They smell delicious and it feels like a jungle around here, which is great. What was the other thing? I had something else I wanted to bring up as well. I totally forget. It'll probably come up to me. But anyway, real quick before we dive into the show, as always, I want to thank our sponsors. You guys, they are just awesome. They're all family-owned businesses or causes. The new one is the one that I talked about last week, which is the St. Jude House. It's not a pretty topic to talk about, domestic violence, but it occurs with a lot of households and a lot of people deal with it in their life. And what St. Jude House is doing is amazing work in Northwest Indiana. They deserve so much recognition. Unlike, advertisements and everything you saw in the Super Bowl, they're not asking for you to pay, money to a business or anything like that. What they want is to get the word out. All right. 1 in 7 women, or 1 in 7 men, 1 in 4 women experience some kind of domestic violence in their life. And that's a big issue that needs fixed. All right. And St. Jude's House, what they do is provide a safe place for people to go if they are victims of that, if they have to get away from something. But what they started this month, which is really cool, is a mobile advocacy program where they will come meet whoever needs help in a coffee shop or public place under the radar, and they'll chit chat and figure out what they need and take care of them. And they've been doing amazing work, but this mobile advocacy program is so awesome because they'll come to you now, which is great. So their website is stjudehouse.org. Just pay them a visit. Again, get the word out. If you have any family members or friends or family, stuff like that are dealing with that, St. Jude House is a wonderful organization here in Northwest Indiana. We also have to thank Tiger Plumbing, our wonderful plumbers in Northwest Indiana. A couple more messages every week I get saying, we use Tiger, we love them. They come out for free. Any plumbing problems whatsoever, they'll take care of it. They're awesome family-owned business. Ewing Mechanical Services, they're another awesome family-owned business. They do anything HVAC. They'll deal with your indoor humidity if you need a humidifier, which a lot of us do this time of year. If your furnace stops working, all that stuff. They've got all sorts of specials running right now. And they've got a real popular Facebook page too. It's Ewing Mechanical Services on Facebook, or ewingmech.com. Discovery Travel, it's a very busy time of year to travel. Florida sounds nice, right? So does Costa Rica. They'll plan both those trips if you want, and they'll do as little or as much as you want in terms of the planning. If you want hotel, flight, all that stuff, they'll get you the best deal. It's Discovery Travel. It's trvl.com. And finally, our favorite car dealership in Northwest Indiana, Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Valparaiso. They have a whole new line of Jeeps out there, including the Wagoneer, just for you, ready to go here in Northwest Indiana. Again, Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. All right, let's dive into the forecasts here. So we've got 2 waves this week of moisture that are going to go through 2 major systems that we're watching this week. Both aren't going to be huge in terms of impacts here locally, but both are very strong storm systems. So we're going to have some wind energy from both of these. The first one, after our beautiful stretch of sunny weather we've had, is going to arrive tonight. So here we go. I'm going to take you through the modeling. Again, high pressure has been in control, so we've had fairly light wind today. But what happens tonight is that wind starts to pick up from the southwest. So by tomorrow morning, we're dry. We're increasing clouds throughout the day tomorrow, but we're watching rain on the radar down to our south. This is going to be wave 1 or system 1, and this one's not going to be the bigger deal of the 2. The second one's going to be the bigger deal later this week, but this one's going to pack some wind. All these black lines you see, those are isobars. Those are lines of equal pressure. When they're close together like they are here, that means you've got wind. You can also tell what direction it is based on where that line is, and this line is coming up from the south, so we'll have a nice south-southwest wind tomorrow. It will be gusty at times. That will help to bump our temps up as well. And then we're talking shower chances in the afternoon, perhaps a wave coming through early in the afternoon with another wave of rain late tomorrow into tomorrow night. That'll be along the cold front. This cold front isn't going to do much in terms of temperatures. You notice behind it, you still have the isobars from the same direction. So that means there's not going to be much of a change in air mass. It'll still be windy, though. But then notice this is all snow north and west of here. So, as this low pressure is going to be off towards our west, they're going to get a decent snow out of this areas, North Dakota up towards Minnesota. But for us, it's just a couple waves of rain tomorrow and tomorrow night, and then that goes by. Wednesday's kind of our in-between day. We'll try to bring in some colder air from the northwest, but overall it's not going to make much headway because the next system is already going to be coming in from the southwest. And this one's going to be the bigger of the 2. So Wednesday's a quiet day around here, but then Wednesday night we start to develop the second storm system that's going to bring some rain, a temp drop, and some snow on the backside, all right? Finally. So let's get into that. So we're going to pick this up with the Euro model. This is right where we left off Wednesday night into Thursday. Notice how we've got area of low pressure once again on Thursday. This one isn't northwest of us. This one's right over Northwest Indiana. So that means we've got a different element in terms of the storm system, in terms of where we line up. We're not just on the warm side for good. We're on the warm turning over to the cold side as that low pressure goes by. So we can expect some rain around here on Thursday. Rumble thunder can't be ruled out with this. I don't see too much thunderstorm activity here locally. I think most of it will be in the eastern half of the state. But anyway, we'll have some rain around here, and then we'll have falling temps. In terms of snowfall, this system is going to bring a healthy strip of snow from Wisconsin back towards Iowa. However, by the time it gets here, this is kind of like a southern setup. When they get snow in the wintertime, it's a matter of how much moisture is left when the cold air hits. And there's not going to be a lot of moisture left as this cold air hits. So I do expect our rain to change over to some snow Thursday night into Friday. I don't think it's going to be very much. I think it will be a struggle to get maybe an inch out of this. As you get up towards Chicago and north of town, they're talking, I would guess, probably 2 to 4, maybe 3 to 5 inches as you get up towards Wisconsin. So decent snow up there Thursday night. But for us here locally, I don't see a lot of snow with us. Maybe a little lingering lake effect on the backside of this. But overall, again, not a big deal on the snow front. But temperatures, though, are going to take a slide. We're going to go from the 50s down into the 20s for highs. By Thursday night, we're cold, and then Friday, we're staying cold. But it's just one day, and that's the way this winter has gone, is we just get these 1 to 2 day hits of cold, and then we're back to the warmth again. So that's this week, okay? And then we quiet down for the weekend. Let's fast forward to beyond that. I want to go next 10 to 15 days, because next week there are a lot of signs, and they're all starting to agree already that February's not done and winter's not done yet. You got to think something's got to give, right? So as we go through time, notice here's your quiet weekend. We'll develop a nice southwest wind, so it'll become mild again. We'll be in the 40s, 50s probably for the weekend. I think it's going to be a gorgeous weekend once again, so we'll take it, right? Here we go into next week. This is where things start to get interesting. So there's going to be cold air diving into the plains sometime Monday, Tuesday. That's almost a definite in the forecast. I know it's a long way out, but we're pretty confident in that. All the models agree with that, and That's usually not in question. What is in question is what kind of storm system spins up on the leading edge of this. And the models have agreed over the last 3 days that some kind of big storm system spins up next Tuesday and Wednesday. A week ago, we highlighted and said this is fantasy land, but we highlighted the February 21st and 22nd for a potential storm because I was seeing some signs that there could be something coming together. The models are really latching onto that idea now. So the chances there that we have some kind of bigger storm system around here, the 21st and the 22nd. Where it ends up, that still remains in question, but the idea is right now that colder air is spilling into the plains. We develop some rain as some kind of area low pressure gets going and connects with the Gulf of Mexico. And this is what the Euro wants to do with it. It develops just some rain as that cold air comes in. We're getting the colder air in here, and then a bigger low develops right here. This is Wednesday, the 22nd. And again, still fantasy land because we're over a week out on this, okay? And the modeling will fluctuate. But there's going to be some kind of system, and the chances there that we're going to have a lot of moisture with it, and there's going to be cold air in place at the same time. So what the Euro likes to do is it likes to keep us on the colder side of things. It develops this heavy strip of snow on the northern side Tuesday night into next Wednesday. That would probably be a 4 to 8 incher across the region if this were to hold true. There's going to be some icing in between as well because there's going to be warm air coming into cold air here at the surface. So wherever that ice layer ends up, that's just going to be a mess. And then you get rain and severe weather down towards the south. And then eventually that slips out. Normally what I would do is I'd look at the Euro a week and a half away and I'd say, you know what, that's a week and a half away. That's interesting. I'm going to take a mental note. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to talk about something that's not going to come true, right? However, it's had this the last 3 days. And I want to show you some other models. So this is the GFS model. I'll just show you this one, the American model. And notice it's got the same thing. It's got a quiet weekend. Here's Monday. Here's Tuesday with rain starting to develop. Here's Wednesday with an area of low pressure. That's a big one. So there's some credibility to this. Again, the path is what's going to change in the intensity of this. But what the GFS says is that we start as some snow, we change over to some ice, and then we go back to snow on the back side of it. And then watch this. This is really fantasy land now with the GFS. It has another system developing later that weekend to the following weekend. This would be 25th, 26th. And that looks nasty. That's a shot of Arctic air with some heavy snow and ice. These aren't just little systems. As we've talked about before, the difference between December and January storm systems versus February into March is that we're now tapping into warm air down south, okay? We've got 70s and 80s for highs down south during some of these frontal boundaries. Warm air can hold a lot more moisture. So the bottom line, you can get a lot more moisture into these systems this time of year, and you tend to get snow storms versus clipper systems with little snowflakes because it's so darn cold outside. So that's kind of where we're going here later this month, is that any of these storms, like this one right here, and the one beyond that perhaps, are going to pack more of a punch because they're going to have heavier snow than a normal January system would. And then you can see it turns really cold and maybe some kind of storm system after that. So I think that's all I wanted to kind of get across in terms of this, is that we've got, just in summary, 2 waves of rainfall this week. We've got kind of a weaker wave of rainfall. It's going to move through here late tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. Wednesday looks great. We're kind of in between storm systems. And then we go back to the next storm system on Thursday. That's the one that brings the cold air in Thursday night, Friday with some snow. Doesn't look like much. And then next week looks like we could have, return of some wintry weather around here. This is the last thing I wanted to show you just for kicks. This is the GFS output in terms of what it thinks the temperatures are going to be on the latest run here this goes all the way through March, so the end of February. And look at these dips. So 50s down to 24 on Friday, back up to the 40s and near 50 degrees later this weekend. And then it's got another dip to 24. And then look what the GFS is saying, 14 on Sunday. That would be behind that second storm system. We're not going to look at these numbers and say these are legit temperatures that we're going to have. It's just what the models are saying. So it's an idea. But what I am going to look at is the fact that we have these ups and big downs, right? So that tells you we've got a very active pattern with some strong storm systems in here. And again, I would not sleep on winter. I know we have. Are we going to make up all of our snowfall that we're behind this winter? I don't think so. I don't want to say absolutely not. but don't discount the fact that we could be having some bigger storms around here over the next couple weeks as we tap into warmer air down to the south and that continued cold air from the north. Okay. All right, so let's get to your questions here. If you guys want to ask those, I'd be happy to answer them. Then we'll get you on your way here on this Monday night. All right, let's see what we're dealing with here. Izzy got some snow. Wow, Izzy got a dusting of snow in New Jersey. Izzy, oh my goodness, that's crazy. Dave, yeah, the train derailment. He mentioned the train derailment in Ohio. Dave, we were actually in the heart of forecasting that because that's just outside the viewing area here. That was a big deal. And what was really interesting, I'm just going to touch on that briefly because I know it didn't affect a lot of people. But what happened was that there were chemicals on it that had the risk of exploding after this train derailed, right? And the chemicals were on all these trains. And what they had to do was they had to either say, hey, these chemicals are going to explode and we don't know when, and there's going to be shrapnel everywhere, or we have to purposely, intentionally explode them ourselves so that it goes airborne. So they made that decision, which I thought was the better of the two. And what happened was this cloud of smoke went up in the atmosphere, and typically it would keep going up, right? And it would go away. Well, what happened that night, and the Weather Service knew this, but we were forecasting that here as well. There was an inversion in the atmosphere. So that happens in Northwest Indiana a lot. You'll notice if you drive by, the industrial area in Gary, sometimes that smoke is sitting, right? It's not going out to space, it's just sitting, and it's kind of smoggy. What happened in the atmosphere was there was just a little sliver of warm air up above us. And when that happens is normally the air gets colder as you keep going up. And as long as that happens, smoke and clouds just keep going up, right? But this little sliver of warm air came in. So it got colder, colder, colder. And once it hits that warm air, things don't rise anymore. It's like a cap. It's like a lid on the atmosphere. So the smoke from that explosion went up. It hit this cap that was there and it stopped and it went out. And so the sky got really dark. It wasn't a good situation. The air quality dropped really quickly because there was a lid on the atmosphere essentially. Eventually later that night and the next morning, we got some wind. We lost the lid in the atmosphere. So everything went up. And the problem that we're dealing with now is, some of the rain. We had some rain, so some of that's getting into the groundwater. The water table is about 15 feet down in that area, so the likelihood of it getting down that far, because the rain really wasn't that heavy, is pretty good. I'm not a chemical scientist or anything like that. I don't pretend to be, but I do know from an atmospheric meteorological perspective, we didn't get enough rain to get that really deep down in the water table where the drinking water comes from. Problem is it's in there somewhere. So I don't know where they're going with that from here, but that was top of the line story. We were right in the middle of that. Just a bad situation for those folks down there for sure. Okay. Jim is hoping for some snow. He says lame winter so far. I know, Jim, it's been really lame. Maxwell says this weather couldn't have gotten any better today. It's like a fall pattern. Maxwell, you're right. We haven't had a better February 13th in 33 years. It was back in, what year would that be? I did the math earlier today, but we haven't had a sunny, warm February 13th in 33 years. It's really been great. It really has been. Our average high, keep in mind, upper 30s, low 40s. So this is bonus territory that we're in. Justin asking how strong are the winds? Winds are going to get pretty gusty here, Justin, with really with both waves. I think because the low is going to pass over us with that second one, that we'll see stronger winds with this next one tomorrow, probably gusts over 30, 35. So we're not talking wind advisory criteria, but we are talking some pretty decent gusts. So let me take you through it here just briefly. Here's tomorrow. You notice some of the gusts, 30 miles per hour. Tomorrow night, it's saying maybe some 40 mile per hour gusts. I could see that if we get some mixing down here. But bottom line, it gets windy. That moves on out, and then the second low comes in, and that won't have as much wind with it because the low will pass over us. But between tomorrow and tomorrow night, gusts, we'll say over 35 are possible with this as this moves through. Let's see. How much rain will we get this? Susan asked the same question about the wind. So in terms of the rain this Wednesday, Susan, I don't see a lot. I would say maybe a quarter of an inch at best. I'd probably go with. Let's see what the models are saying. Let's go precip accumulation. Yeah, the models are barely even saying that. So this first wave there's not a whole lot with this first wave. It's not even saying a quarter inch. It's saying maybe 0.05 to 0.20, so almost a quarter inch of rain. That second wave will probably bring maybe up to a half an inch with it. That should bring some better rainfall with it as it moves through. So, as a whole this week, a little under an inch of rain, it's going to be good. Maxwell, I don't think so. We'll see where they go with it. I don't think they'll issue a wind advisory. It's going to be right borderline on that. But I don't like to get caught up in the advisories, the watches, the warnings even. I don't like to get caught up unless it's a tornado warning. That's a different scene. But, if it's a winter storm warning or whatever it is, just worry about impact. It's going to be a windy day tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night. Okay, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if it's advisory or not. Same thing with winter weather. It doesn't matter if it's winter storm criteria or winter weather advisory. It matters what the impacts are. Are you going to have a bad commute to work or not, right? That's the kind of stuff we want to talk about. Debbie shares a nice story. I remember the Valentine's Day snowstorm of 1987 or something. My date was so mad I was unable to show up for our dinner date. I stuck on the expressway. Sure you were, Debbie. Sure you were. I get that. That was a good excuse. I've used that as well too with the snowstorm stuck in the expressway thing. But no, that's funny. That sounds like a good memory for sure. Did you ever go on a second date? Let me ask you that, or did you cancel it right there? Let's see. And Mary brought up a good. Dave says, should I take the plow off yet? No, Dave, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. Mary says, you're saying possible heavy snow and ice the weekend of February 26th. I sure hope not. My granddaughter's birthday party's on the 26th. Mary, this could all fluctuate in terms of timing. Again, the 26th is the far one out. It's the 21st, 22nd that I'm a little bit more confident we're going to have some kind of storm around here. That 26th one could fluctuate. That system may go away in general. But next week's 21st, 22nd, that's the one that I think is going to have some staying power and we'll have some kind of storm system. So we'll see. Yeah, they really are, Maxwell. Maxwell says, seems like the seasons are starting to battle. They are. And this is a very interesting time of year because we can, the South is loading up with 60, 70, 80 degree air. And you just need a low pressure to come in there. And those low pressures come in. And they grab some of that warm air down south and they bring it up every now and then. And that's going to be the case. So we'll see. All right, guys. Well, I think we'll let you go. I think that's all I've got here tonight. Sarah asking 21st, 22nd. Yeah, Sarah, we covered this a little bit earlier here. It's this system right here. Most of the models are picking up on it. Again, this is next week, like this time, even a little bit later next week. There's going to be some kind of system that develops. The GFS brings an ice storm with heavy snow in it. The Euro has heavy snow without the ice. Either way, there's going to be some kind of low pressure system somewhere in our vicinity. I know that sounds vague. But it's better than saying it's going to be sunny. There is going to be some kind of bigger system around the 21st, 22nd, as it looks right now. Okay. All right, guys. Yeah. Merry, happy Valentine's Day to you. Thank you very much. I did get my wife a gift. Okay. I had to think for a second. I'm like, wait, do I need to Amazon one day it or something? No, we're good. Happy Valentine's Day to you guys as well tomorrow. Again, we'll talk throughout the week. 2 waves of rain, a little bit tomorrow night. It'll be windy tomorrow. Wednesday, we get a break from it all. And then Thursday, we do more rain over to snow. Okay. Not a lot of snow Thursday night, Friday. I think the bulk of it's going to be just north of here. We'll have to keep an eye on the track of that low. If it shifts a little further south, which I don't think it will, we'll need to keep an eye on it though. Okay. All right. We'll keep you updated on the latest. Thanks for joining us here on this Monday night, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful day and hope you have a good week as well. We'll talk